Torah talks about in there. What's in everybody, in every one of us? There is a power inside. There is Helem and Esther inside. There's Tzimtzumin inside. There's Biyah inside. Find out what is being Kfui Tova. What is how Or and Sof is nurturing something that denies it. B'ezras Hashem, today is Basi Shvat. I want to dedicate the shiur Le'ilui Nishmas, my dear father, Alav Shalom, Reb Tzvi ben Yehuda Halevi, who was a very, very good tati. His yortzeit is this coming Shabbos, Vav Shvat. Also, Shetibadel L'chaim Tovim Aruchim, this coming Vav Shvat is the Yom Huledes of my granddaughter Basia Rivka. And I also want to continue to dedicate the shiur for Refuah Shleima, Latinok Shneor Zalman ben Rachel, and Chayil al Chayil, and all Cholei Israel, whoever needs Refuah should have Refuah, Begashmius, Beruchnius, with good news from everyone. And now we are going back to learning Basi Legani, and honestly, the more I prepare, the more, so to speak, overwhelmed I get, realizing how deep this Maimar is, and can be understood on many layers. When we are continuing to learn Os Yud Gimel in the original Maimar of the Frierdiker Rebbe, Reb Yosef Yitzchak, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, L'Chayei Olamim, that his yortzeit is coming up, Yud Shvat, I will already insert some explanations of the Rebbe from Chav Gimel, Tafshin Chav Gimel, because I am not sure how much time we will have to learn the whole explanation of the Rebbe. We will learn, but I don't know how much how much time we will have. And therefore, I will already insert it here as we are learning the original Maimar from the previous Rebbe. I have no words to describe this Maimar. I have no words. It is really, every year, the more I learn it, I see how broad and how deep this Maimar is and how much it is focusing on the mission of human beings in this world. And there's so much knowledge and inspiration and optimism and hopefulness that this Maimar is exuding. And we'll do what we can, B'ezras Hashem. And both the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach and the Frierdiker Rebbe should help us to learn it in a way that will poeles pulasoi, B'ezras Hashem, and will inspire us to serve Hashem with excitement and passion and love and Yiras Shamayim the whole year in a manner of Geula, in a transformational way. And let's dive right in. I'm glad to see everyone joining our shiur, and we are in Os Yud Gimel, page Zayin in the PDF that is on our chat, and we are the line that starts the Atzilus. It's like in the middle of the paragraph, the Atzilus, and then comes a parenthesis, shehem bivchinas gufa kanal hamislabesh bahem. So what the Rebbe, I'm not going to go way back to Bereshis because we will never move on, but just to quickly bring us back into our discussion, we are learning about Or Ein Sof lemata ad ein tachlis, Or Ein Sof that goes infinitely down, Or Ein Sof, which is the treasure that Hashem is making available to us to transform this world, has two components to it, Or Ein Sof lemala ad ein kates, and Or Ein Sof lemata ad ein tachlis. That means that Or Ein Sof, at the same time, it goes up into the source, hiddenness within hiddenness, infinitely, and then there is at the same time lemata ad ein tachlis, that it goes down and outward infinitely as well. And the main part of the Otzar, as we learned already, the treasure is Or Ein Sof Lemala Ad En Kates, the one that is going more and more into concealment, and that will be revealed and available to us, but that will be discussed in Os Tesvav. Right now, in order to understand Or Ein Sof Lemala Mala Ad En Kates, as the Zohar explains, we need to first understand Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis. Last year, the Rebbe said that Or Ein Sof, since it's Me'ein HaMa'or, it's like the Ma'or, the luminary, and that's the nature of the light, that it's in Dveikus and Bitul, and therefore the light carries the koyach of the Ma'or to create Yesh Me'ain, and therefore we see the expression of Or Ein Sof Lemata Ad En Tachlis in the way that worlds are being created, and they are being created in a way that is unending. There's no end to it. How many worlds there are, and various levels of existence and consciousness and so on. This is regarding the Ishavus, the coming into existence of worlds. In this Ois, and next Ois, Yudalet, Yud Gimel and Yudalet, which the Rebbe, when he begins to explain this Ois, he makes a point to say that this is Ois Yud Gimel begematria Echad, meaning that this Ois is already revealing to us how Hashem is Echad, Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis. But in this Ois, the Rebbe will explain, the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe, that not only that the Or Ein Sof Lemata Ad En Tachlis is revealed in a manner of creating worlds unendingly, but it also refers to Gilui and Ispashtus. That Or Ein Sof is Lemata Mata Ad En Tachlis is below in a manner of Gilui ve'ispashtus. Perhaps Gilui ve'ispashtus, these are two words and the main words of this Ois in terms of Or Ein Sof being present and revealed in the lowest of the lowest. Gilui ve'ispashtus, these are the two terms, revelation and manifestation. So perhaps the Gilui refers more to Soibev Kol Almin, where the emphasis is on the Makabel, how Or Ein Sof can be perceived. And the Ispashtus means that Or Ein Sof can reach everywhere. Ispashet means to extend, to extend everywhere, and in a manner of no end. And that could be referring to Or Soivev, to the Soivev path, that is not tailored to the perception of the Makabel. Perhaps that's one way to explain these two words. In any case, the Rebbe says that the manifestation of Or Ein Sof, Lemata, in the lowest realms, has no end to it and no measure, and it is extended to the lowest and the last and lowest levels of existence. And this is what the Frierdiker Rebbe says, Or Ein Sof Lemata Ad En Tachlis, that the extension of the light is in a manner of Ein Sof and Bli Gvul Klal. Ad HaMadrega HaYoter Mata Mata, to the lowest level. This is a very positive, please mute yourself. This is a very positive statement, because it goes along with what the Rebbe says, V'lo yidach mimeno nidach, that no one and nothing will be left behind. Everything is redeemable. Everything is connected to the source. And in a manner of bli gvul, no limitation. And then the Rebbe explained that the fact that the worlds that are called Oilamos Ein Sof, the worlds of infinity, which the lowest of them, of the worlds of infinity, is Atzilus. Which Atzilus, even though There are Spheros in Atzilus, and there are Kelim in Atzilus, Oros beKelim, lights in vessels. Nevertheless, we learn that the Kelim of Atzilus are still Elokus, they are one with Or and Sof. And certainly the worlds above Atzilus, they are all called Oilamos Ein Sof. Why? Because they are one with Or and Sof. And even on the level of Kelim, the Kelim are totally aligned with the light. They don't block the light, they reveal the light. They are one with the light. Even in Atzilus, as we learned, that Atzilus is like a gufa lenishmasa, that just the way a person is combined with a body and a soul, which are very much united, and the body carries the soul in a manner that the body is megale the nefesh, and when the nefesh wants to act and affect and influence, it uses the body, and they are one. So too in Atzilus, the Kelim are one with Or and Sof. So no wonder that their Or and Sof can shine begilui, says the Rebbe, because they are Kelim to Or and Sof. And even in Atzilus, even the Kelim are Elokus Mamash, as we learned last time. And therefore, ain't the Pele. It's not a Pele. It's not a wonder that the Or and Sof shines in the higher worlds, Atzilus and beyond, in Begilui. And it's no wonder, says the Rebbe, that these worlds, the Oilamos Ein Sof, can be proper Kelim for Or and Sof. This is not the case of our realm of existence. We are in the lowest level of Bia, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. And Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya are not anymore called Guf lenishmasa, like a body to a soul. Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya are like levushim. They are garments that cover up the spheros the way they are authentically revealed in Atzilus. So starting from Bria and going lower and lower and coarser and further down, there is already a separation, at least from the perspective of the Mekablim. Of the worlds, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya are separated worlds. So what are Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, says the Rebbe? They are only levushim to the light of the Kelim of Atzilus. We learn that the Kelim of Atzilus are the soul, the lights of Bia. And we explained the 10 inner Kelim are the lights of Bria, the spheres of Bria. The 10 middle Kelim of Atzilus are the lights of Yetzira. And the 10 outer Kelim of Atzilus are the lights, the spheros, the elokus of the neshama of Asiya. But levushim tkinas in Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, they are only levushim to the light of the Kelim of Atzilus. Even the Kelim of Atzilus do not shine there directly. They are shining through levushim. How so? So now we have Or and Sof. We have, which is like in the mashal of a person, it's like the soul of a person. That's the Or. We have the Kelim of Atzilus. That's like the goof of the person, which are one with the soul. The goof is one with the nefesh. But then we have the garments of the person. The garments of the person are not one, they're not alive, they're not one with the soul, like in Atzilus. There is already a sense of separation. How is it done? Kema'amar, as it says, after the parenthesis, and there is a star there. Ima ila mekanena bekursaya. The divine mother, the supreme mother, which is Bina of Atzilus, nests, mekanena milshon ken, it dwells and nests in Kursaya, in the throne, in the world that is called the throne or the seat, the royal seat which is the world of Bria. Why kursaya? In Aramaic, kursa is still used in modern Hebrew, means an armchair, like a comfortable chair, a throne, because if Atzilus is the way the Spheros, Elokus, is one with, if the Spheros are one with Elokus, in Bria is already in a way the person sits down, he lowers himself down, his body down, that's Bria. Our Elokus now is lowered down into a realm of Nivraim, creations that feel themselves separate from their source. And that's a big Yerida. It's a big descent for godliness. And therefore, it is called Olam HaKursaya, the world of the seat where godliness has to lower itself down and now dwell in realities that feel themselves separate from Elokus. So that's the world of Bria, Kursaya, is the world where Bina, Ilah, the Bina of Atzilus, dwells. So the world of Bria is a levush for Bina of Atzilus. The Ima, Ilah, the Divine Mother, the Supreme Mother, hu bchinas Bina de Atzilus. Harei hu mekanena bekursaya, it dwells in the seat, Olam HaKiseh, the world of the throne, Shu Olam HaBria, which is the world of Bria, creating Yesh Me'ayin. Shish Sfiran, then we have the Shesh Sfiros, Zo, of Atzilus, the Shesh Sfiros, the Shish Sfiran in Aramaic, B'Yitzira. They are Mekanen, they are dwelling in the world of Yetzira. That means that the world of Yetzira is a levush, is a garment for the 6 midos of Atzilus. And then Ofan, which is the wheel, the Ofanim are the source, the angels that are the source of sustenance of the world of Asiya. So the world of Asiya Kabbalistically is called Ofan, like a wheel. Be'asiya, that means Malchus. Ofan is Malchus. Malchus dwells in Asiya. Interesting, it's called Ofan. Malchus is called a wheel. And we know that Na'us Tzofan B'Tchilasan, that Malchus is at time the lowest, but we know that it's like a wheel, like a galgal, that the lowest is wedged in the highest, like a wheel. In any case, therefore, Nikraim Biya Mata. Therefore, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya are called Mata, are called the below reality. לפי שהם רק לבושים לאור האצילוס. Because Bria and Yetzira and Asiya are only garments for the light of Atzilus. And the Rebbe explains in Chav Gimel, we will learn it Bezrat Hashem, that even though many times when we want to understand the process of the thickening and the coarsening of the divine light as it goes down from world to world, lower and lower and lower, we see how first Bria merges out of Atzilus, and then Yetzira merges out of Bria, and then Asiya is merging out of Yetzira. So to speak, Asiya Ruchnis is merging out of Yetzira, and then Asiya Gashmis is merges out of Asiya Ruchnis. So when we want to understand the coarsening of the descent of the light, the way it becomes a lower level of consciousness and being and distance from Elokus, then we describe the worlds as one is mekabel from the other, as circles, so to speak. That if the source, let's say, is the middle, so Bria will be the closest to the middle point of the circle, and Yetzira will be the next wheel surrounding Bria, and then Asiya will surround Yetzira. One is mekabel from the other, and the furthest, the bigger circle is the furthest from the source. But, says the Rebbe, that's not the only way to perceive the relation of the world's Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya to the spheros of Atzilus. Because if we only perceive it like that, that means that really it compromises, please listen, it compromises the point of this whole Maimar. Because of the point of this whole, especially the ois of this Maimar, is to explain how Or Sof is lemata mata aden tachlis. If we say that Bria receives from Atzilus, Atzilus is still a locus, right? That everybody understands that, we learned that. Atzilus is still a locus on many levels. But Atzilus is still godliness. Now Bria receives from Atzilus. But if we say that Bria, that Yetzira and Asiya are not receiving straight from Atzilus anymore, there Yetzira is receiving from Bria and Asiya is receiving from Yetzira, then both Asiya and Yetzira are not receiving straight from Atzilus anymore. They do not have a connection with the locus anymore. Only Bria has a straight connection with godliness. The Rebbe doesn't like that. No. You have to understand what the Zohar is saying. You have to understand what the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying, says the Rebbe. That Bina is mekanena bebria. That means that all three, and the Zohar is mekanena beitzira. And Ofan is, Malchus is mekanena in Asiya. That means that all three worlds, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, are garments for one body, which means Bria is the garment of the head, Yetzira is which means Bina, the Moechin. Where is Chochma Mekanen? Where is Chochma dwelling?
Yes.
Thank you. In Atzilus. Chochma is one with the Ein Sof, Atzilus. Bria dwells in, Bina dwells and is mislabesh in Bria. Bria is the levush for Bina. It's like a hat. I don't know, whatever covers the head. And then you have the Shesh Sfirot Zo, the Eranpin, is Mekanena in Yetzira. That means Yetzira is the levush, the garment for the torso, for the midos. That's like a shirt or like a sweater, I don't know. And then you have Ofan, Malchus is dwelling in Asiya. That means that Asiya is levush for Nehim, or for Malchus of Atzilus. Let's say for not Nehim, the Malchus of Atzilus. And that's like the pants or the shoes. Taka, sometimes Malchus is called Naal, a shoe. So that means that it's still all three worlds are garments of one body, of the Gufa of Atzilus, of the light of the Kelim of Atzilus. That all three worlds, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, all of them are receiving Chayus directly from Atzilus. And therefore, that understanding that they are all levushim for the same body, not one is levush for the other. Rather, each one of them is levush for the body of Atzilus. Then you understand why it's not a contradiction for the fact that Or Ein Sof is lemata mata aden tachlis. Because if not, then you would say that lemata mata aden tachlis only gets to Bria. Up to Bria, you can say it. Bria is connected straight to Atzilus, but if you only understand it as Yetzira receives from Bria and Asiya from Yetzira, then both Yetzira and Asiya do not receive directly from Atzilus anymore, and you cannot say Or Ein Sof lemata mata aden tachlis. Clear? Okay, so let's continue. So Bia, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, הכל, I'm the line that starts, לכן נקרא ביה מטה, לפי שהם רק לבושים לאור האצילוס. So Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya are only garments to the light of Atzilus. They cover up, they don't reveal, they conceal, and so on. ובלבושין דביה, now, Let's talk about this levushim of Biyah. We are talking about the spheros of Biyah now. Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. The worlds of the created worlds, the worlds of Yesh. The Zohar says, Tikkun Zohar says, the minayu parchin nishmasin. From these levushim of Biyah, minayu, from these spheros of Biyah, parchin nishmasin livnei nasha, shehem haneshamos. Then from them emerge, fly off, so to speak, emerge, ascend, from the spheros of Biyah, ascend the neshamas of human beings, which are the souls, the way we know them, all the way down here to about physical body. Now, V'hine, rov haneshamos hen neshamos de Biyah. Most of the neshamos are neshamos of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. Most of the neshamos are the neshamos that merge from the spheros of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. ורק חד בדרה, בדורות הראשונים, only one in a generation. And you can see it apparent in the first generations, and the Rebbe extends it. The Rebbe in his Pirush says, no, in every generation there is Chad Bedara. There is one in his door and one in his generation. There is one in each generation that is a Neshama of Atzilus, that it still maintains the godliness of Atzilus as he is in a body. That means that the Neshama is experiencing the oneness, the Echad, with the Or Ein Sof, as it is in Atzilus, and that Neshama is the Neshama that keeps the whole generation nurtured with Elokus. And we receive, each one of the rest of the generation of the Neshamos, receive their Chayus, their life force, through that Chad Bedara, through that one in a generation. And you see how much Basi Legani is about a Rebbe in this sense. Aval rov haneshamos and neshamos de Biyah. Most of the neshamos are neshamos of Biyah. Why? Because a neshama of itself cannot relate to worlds, to created worlds that feel themselves separate. Or a neshama at its source cannot relate to the world the way it feels itself yesh me'ayin, separate from its source. Therefore, most of the neshamos are neshamos the way they merge in a reality of the spheros of Biyah that are levushim to godliness. They cover up. So neshama the way it is in Biyah, the neshamos of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, and especially, of course, neshama in a guf, in Asiya Agashmis, that neshama is not anymore experiencing the oneness of Oilamos Ein Sof. It experiences a reality that feels itself separate from the infinite, and therefore will be the task of these souls that are souls of Biyah, that can relate to a reality that feels itself separate from God. It will be their task, and it is their task, to be the bridge that bridges between Elokus, godliness, and worlds. Because the neshama, as we mentioned last time, is a very strange being. That on one hand, it's Elokus, but then on the other hand, it's Chenasa Nivra. That Elokus still maintains its godly nature and essence, but the way it becomes a creation. And that's why it can be a bridge between Elokus and worlds. Ela shebebiyah gufa, now says the Rebbe, yes, all the neshamos, most of them, except for the one neshama that keeps everybody alive, that is neshama of Atzilus. Again, the Rebbe always shows how there is always connection to Elokus, one way or another. Or and Sof is all the way, Lemata Mada Ad En Tachlis. If you want it in terms of spheros, you understand it through the explanation of the Levushim, that all three worlds, Sai Bria, Sai Yetzira, and Sai Asiya, are Levushim to Atzilus. They are Levushim to Elokus, and they are Makabel directly from Elokus. And Sai in terms of Neshamos. The Neshamos, even though most of the Neshamos are the Neshamos in a reality that feels separate from Elokus, nevertheless, in every generation, there is at least one Neshama that is Neshama of Atzilus, through which Elokus is being transmitted and nurtured into all souls. Now, let's focus, the Rebbe says, the Frierdiker Rebbe, on Biyah Gufa, on Biyah itself. How about Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya themselves? What's going on there? You can also distinguish three. The theme of three will be becoming stronger and stronger in this ois, based on the explanation of the Baal Shem Tov, that explains a very cardinal principle in creation, in our task in creation. So, אלא שבבייה גופה, in בייה itself, הנה הנשמות הם פנימיוס, ומלאכים חיצוניוס, ואולמות הם חיצוניוס דה חיצוניוס. Now, how should you view Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, this reality of these three created worlds? You can divide all three worlds to three. Each one of them you can divide to three. The neshamas of each world are the pnimius. You can also say that out of these three worlds, Bria is the pnimius, because Bria is the world of neshamas. Bria is the world of the neshamas, is the home of the neshamas in Bria. Malachim, so Sai in each world you have these three, and Sai, these three worlds are divided like that. That Bria is the home of Neshamos, the world of Neshamos. Then comes Malachim. Malachim are called Chitzonius. They are already not Pnimius of the worlds, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. They are already called Chitzonius, the external aspect of these worlds, and in these three, the second one, Yetzira, is the world of Malachim. So the home of Malachim is usually in Kabbalah is Yetzira. There are angels in Bria as well, the Srafim. There are angels in Asiya, the Ophanim. But in Yetzira is the home of the Malachim generally. Then you have the worlds themselves. Each world themselves, the chambers, the world itself, where the neshamas and malachim are. And there are different chambers and different levels in it, uncountable levels in each world, of the world itself, where it's the stage, where it all happens. That's called chitzonius of chitzonius in each world. The external of the external. And in the template of three worlds, it will be the world of Asiya. It's the lowest. That's the olam, the stage on which the show is happening. That's the world of Asiya. ובריבוי ההשתלשלוס, והשתלשלוס האור בבייה ממדרגה למדרגה בריבוי המדרגos. So, now, regarding the ishtalshelus, so now you understand the structure. We have Or and Sof itself, it's like the soul. You have the kelim of Atzilus, that's like the body. The body in Atzilus is one with the soul. Iyu v'garmo echad. Then you have Biyah levushim. They are already garments. It's not one with Or and Sof. In these three garments, we have the pnimi, the chitzoni, and chitzoni shebechitzoni. The pnimius of each world is the neshamos, where the neshamos come from. The chitzoni of each world is where the malachim come from. They are already creations, the Malachim. They are not Elokus that became Nivra, they are Nivra. But they are very high Nivra. And then comes the Chitzonius of Chitzonius. That's the world. So there is the Neshamos, the Malachim, and the Oilamos. The world, the Oilamos are Chitzonius of Chitzonius, also parallel to, corresponding to Asiya. Now that we know how the structure is, regarding Or and Sof, the way it comes down, the way it devolves, the mishtalshel, and comes gradually, descends from level to level. So there are many, many myriads of levels. This Or, as it goes down from level to level, הרי מתעלם ומסתתר האור ממדרגה למדרגה. The light gets more and more concealed and covered up. מסתתר, מתעלם means it withdraws. Only the lower aspect goes down, the inner one withdraws to the source, goes up. And that's מתעלם. And מסתתר means it's covered up, it's concealed. So the light becomes more and more concealed from level to level, עד שבהגיע האור לעולם הגלגלים, until when the light reaches the world of orbits, the celestial world of the most refined aspect of our physical Asiya, physical world, Olam HaGalgalim, the celestial orbits where the stars are and the different planets. Next page, page Ches. VeHamazalos, and the different constellations of stars from which are combinations of energies that nurture the different aspects of the world, and they are eventually the source of the different life force and spiritual hashpah to the 70 nations of the world as well, and that includes also all the physical aspects of the world, nature and so on. לכן כל ההשפעה והגילה בעולם התחתון, בעולם הגשמי, בעולם הזה, הוא על ידי הגלגלים ומזלוס. And therefore, all השפעה and all גילוי in this lowest physical world is done through the orbits and through the constellations. וכמו שנאמר, as it says in Parshas, in ברכה, זוס הברכה, and the blessing is, וממגד תבואות שמש, וממגד גרש ירחים, that the shemesh and the yarech are the source from where the sweetness and the richness of the grain comes. The geresh and the atvuos are the grains, and meged is the sweetness and the richness of the produce, and that comes from shemesh and the yerechim and the moons. כמאמר, as it says, אין לך עשב מלמטה, שאין לו מזל מלמעלה, המכה בו ואומר לו גדל. As it says in Bereshis Rabbah, and in the Zohar and in other places, that you don't have one blade of grass that doesn't have a spiritual master from above that hits it, that strikes it, and says to it, grow. The Rebbe will ask about it, a question. Okay, we understand that each and every blade of grass needs a muzzle, needs a spiritual source to create it, to bring it into existence. Yesh me'ayin, okay, fine. To create it, to be the source of it. As we know that the spiritual is the source of the physical. There is a jump, a leap between the two, but still, we see a connection between a chesed of a higher world and the sweetness of the physical world, whatever it is. So the Rebbe says, fine, for the creation of every blade of grass, each one needs a muzzle. So that's why you see, oh, and so Ad and Sof, there's no end. Can't count all the infinity of Oh and Sof, even in the physicality. But why the Medrash and the Zohar tell us that every blade of grass, after it is created, there is a spiritual mazal that tells it gdal, grow. Why it cannot grow by itself? So it's created, fine. A little thing came up out of the seed, created, fine. Okay, you need the mother. But why for continuing growing, you also need the mother to tell it to grow and to strike it. And the Rebbe explains, even further than the Frierdiker Rebbe here, that it's part of explaining to us how much Or Ein Sof is lemata mata ad ein tachlis. You shouldn't think that only for creating each and every blade of grass you need a mazal gashmi. You need this, the higher source. You need the lakus. Even for growing, you also need the higher source to make it grow. Everything phenomena that happens lemata comes melamayla. שהוא בא מאור וחיוס האלוקי ששופע. That growing of each blade of grass comes from the light and the divine chayus that flows derech hagalgalim umazalos, that flows into the physical world and into this blade of grass through these orbits and these constellations. Dezeu hashpala gdola. This is a great descent. What is happening to Or Ein Sof? Now Or Ein Sof is a growing blade of grass. Infinite Or Ein Sof that we learned in the previous chapter, that it's me'ein ha'ma'or, that it carries the infinity of the source, that can create yesh mi'ayin. Now this Or Ein Sof that has no gvul and no limit and no end is now a growing blade of grass. What a lowering of Or Ein Sof למטה מטה עד אין תכליס. שזהו השפלה גדולה מה שהאלוקוס בא בהלם והסתר גדול כל כך. This is a tremendous descent, how Elokus is now expressed through such concealment and hiddenness. בריבוי האלמוס וההסתרים, the ריבוי השתלשלוס דבייה, through the myriads, concealments and blocks of השתלשלוס ובריאה יציר האנסיה, עד שבא בהשפעה חיצוניוס וגשמיס, until it is expressed through a external coarse physical manifestation, ובפרט כמו שבא בריבוי, okay, manifestation, עד כאן. So, let's see how Or Ein Sof goes למטה מטה עד אין תכליס. You know how it goes למטה מטה עד אין תכליס, that you have טבע. You have טבע. טבע מלשון טבעו בים. טבע is nature, but טבע means to drown. The awareness of Elokus, as we just described, coming from Or Ein Sof, through the kelim of Atzilus, down to each and every world, all the way to each and every blade of grass, that is coming completely in a concealed way, but it's all there. Making it all happen, otherwise it wouldn't happen, it wouldn't even grow by itself. So it all makes it happen, but in a manner, ובפרט, especially, how far can Or Ein Sof go מטה מטה עד אין תכליס? כמו שבא בהריבוי צמצומים, העלמוס והסתרים, the way it comes and manifests, so concealed, and hides itself so much, עד שיכול להיות דבר ההפך מאלוקוס לגמרי, until there can be something which is created and sustained by the same infinite Or Ein Sof, and can be completely the opposite of Elokus. והיינו, meaning, number one, לשכוח על הוואי לגמרי, חס ושלום. To forget about הוואי altogether, חס ושלום. That's all nature. Nature doesn't necessarily testifies on Havaya. It's klipas noiga. You can forget about Havaya, so it's a beautiful tree. Oh, it's a beautiful lake. You know, you can forget about Havaya. Umikol sheken, how much more so when it comes to deny. One thing is not to be aware. And let's take it very personally, because this lack of awareness is not just someone else. The Rebbe very soon will show us that it's not about someone else, it's about us. So number one, the nature of this world is to exist in such a way, which means Or Ein Sof down here is manifesting itself in such a way that we forget about it. And Mikol Sheken, כמו שכתוב בקליפה, how much more so is it what it says about Klipa בסטרא אחרא, the ungodly forces that says לאמור לי יאורי ואני עשיסיני, as Paro says. I am the master of the Or, the Nile, and I made myself. I am a deity. I am God. שזהו היפך האמס ממש, which is the opposite of truth mamash, which means that something can be nurtured and sustained by God and declare that it made itself and has nothing to do with God, and it's not true that it depends on God. The truth is that Vayevarech Yaakov is Paro. It was Yaakov that benched Paro, that the Nilus, the Nile, will come up towards him, and the whole land of Mitzrayim was blessed. Ve'isa betanchuma uva berashi bimkoim, Rashi brings it. Uva me bercho, and in what Yaakov blessed Paro? Bercho sheyalel ninus likraso. As Rashi says that Yaakov benched Paro with the divine blessing, with Or Ein Sof, that the Nilus should come up to him and become a bracha for this physical world, which Mitzrayim was its epitome representation. Mitzrayim milashon Meitzarim. And Yaakov says, I can show you, I can megala to you, I can bring into your reality the truth that Or Ein Sof is present and revealed here. Look, I am bringing up the water towards you. It is Or Ein Sof that is the source of every bracha in the land of Meitzarim or Gvulim, in the land of Mitzrayim. Gvul, limitation, restrictions, problems, enemies, blocks, pain, darkness, and so on and so forth. But Or Ein Sof is here, and me, Yaakov, Neshamas Israel, can reveal it to you. Says Paro. What does it mean, She'ale Nilus Likraso? What bracha did Yaakov give to Paro that the Nilus, the Yeor, should come up towards him? Vehu Hashpas HaTov HaElyon Shenimshach. That means that Yaakov was megala to Paro how the divine Tov and Ein Tov, Ela, Or Ein Sof, and Elokus and Torah and so on, that it's all divinity that can be brought down into the crocodiles of Mitzrayim, into the Or of Mitzrayim. Hine Paro melech ha-Meitzarim ve'ha-Gvulim. This Paro, who is the king of restrictions, the king of boundaries, the king of Gashmius, the king of limitations, the king of denial. Who od kfui tova. He is the king of that which can look the opposite of God. He is ungrateful. Not only ungrateful, he is the opposite of grateful. Kfui tova. He is the opposite of grateful. Ve'omer, and he says, Li yeori. The Or is mine. Come totally under my control. You know why? Because Ani Asisini. I made myself. I have no beginning. I have no tchila. I am the source. I am Or Ein Sof. I am the Ma'or. I am the source. I am God. Shu Hepech HaEmes, the opposite of Emes. And then the Friedrich Rebbe says, if you think we're talking just about Paro out there, you should be more mature than that. Don't be a child. Torah doesn't talk about out there only. Torah talks about in there. What's in everybody, in every one of us? There is a power inside. There is Helem and Esther inside. There's Tzimtzumin inside. There's Biyah inside. Find out what is being Kfui Tova. What is how Or Ein Sof is nurturing something that denies it. What is it in our way of being that such a phenomenon of Or and Sof can go so low and so far that it can create something that denies it. So far, mata aden tachlis can Or and Sof reach. And the Maimar from the Frierdiker Rebbe ends a little bit kalamutne, as we say, as the Rebbe says about Parshas Noach. It's a little bit gloomy. But the next voice is talking about the happy end of Or and Sof is taken misgale in such a gloomy place like our world. So the Rebbe says, you think we're talking about power out there in Mitzrayim, there in a globe? You can point that it's there, and we don't go there anymore. No nitzutzim there. So the Rebbe says, Asher kmochen yeshno gam ba'avoda b'chol echad ve'echad. The same reality of being sustained and created by this Or and Sof in a manner that denies it its own chayus and source of life is also in the avoida, in this work that each one of us is doing within oneself in growing and maturing our own consciousness. Our Or and Sof has to be revealed in our own consciousness of our own ego and our own nefesh habahamis, not only in the nefesh haelokis. Bechol echad ve'echad. In each and every one, first of all, those who deal with asakim, bebaalei asakim, and then those v'yoshvei oil, those who are dealing with the world more and are doing business, and those that are represented by yoshvei oil, who dwell and sit in the tents of Torah and learn and remain in the realm of holiness and they learn Torah. ובבעלי עסקים הוא מה שחושב, וכוחי ועוצם ידי עשה לי את החיל הזה. How does it show that Or and Sof is giving life to someone who denies it? It says when it happens to a businessman that he thinks that my own power and my own talent and my own smartness made this success for me. Oh, each one of us, you say, nah, come on. We all know that any parnasa comes from Hashem. We're not babies. Spiritual babies. Well, says the Rebbe, והגם שיודע ומאמין שהוא הנותן לך כוח לעשות חיל. Yes, everybody, we all know and we all believe that Hashem is the one that gives you this power to do success, to be successful, לעשות חיל. וברכת הוויה היא תעשיר. Every Yid can tell you, and every Frum Yid can tell you, whatever level of Frumkeit, that Birkas Havaya is Tashir. It's the blessing of God that makes one rich. Everybody can tell you. Umaskir Shem Shamayim al kol davar v'davar bisko. And we're talking about Frum Yidden. We're talking about Hasidic Yidden. And here is making a business deal, and he's maskir Shem Shamayim al kol davar v'davar bisko. He's making a deal with someone on the phone, and he says, okay, we're going to close it on $500,000. Tomorrow you send the money through the bank, through this Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, I don't know how it's called, and Be'ezrat Hashem will make the deal. He says Be'ezrat Hashem. He maskir Shem Shamayim. He mentioning the name of God when he's making a business deal. What's wrong? Mikol makom. Nevertheless, the Rebbe says, look a little bit more carefully. Don't miss the details. Don't remain superficial. הנה חושב דכוחו ועוצם ידו. When he does a good deal, he's not free from thinking that, I did good. היינו דחוכמתו עמדה לו. It's my wisdom. I had a sharp mind today. It was such a brilliant decision. And somehow, even you say Baruch Hashem, but there's no complete experience for, wow, I don't know how Hashem gave this machshava in my mind and this deal happened. No, it's like, wow, I performed. It was a good performance today. I can say that I'm quite pleased with myself as a businessman today. I have what to be proud of. ולזוס, and therefore, if that is still there, הנה בזמן העילוי בכל העניינים, at the time where everything goes well, very well, then what happened? יעוז בהבוסו. He is having he feels strength just by his mere existence. Ya'oz mishon oz, it means a powerful being. Just by habosod, it's the way I'm being. I'm powerful. I make things happen. I make good deals. Shu mizga'eh be'etzem ma'uso. He is proud at his own being, like the fact that he exists. I made a good business deal. It happened through me. It's me. ונדמה לו, and it looks so much, כי חוכמתו עמדה לו. That I did, this was such a complicated, and I had to fly to France, and I had to meet there because it's a bankruptcy, and I had to meet with the lawyers and with the authorities and sign a deal, and then I make money, and I had to deal with the Chinese and the Japanese. I had a whole cup there, and therefore they tried to also get as much as they want out of me, and I had to make a good deal. I had to come back to the States, make sure it all fits the lawyers here. It's all done. Wow. Now I see some money coming up. The money starts flowing in. Wow, that was a good job. And you know how you can see it, even the Rebbe doesn't say it. I'm saying it here. Take it or leave it, but even more, that the ego is involved. You know how? Because וכן להפך בזמן הדוחק חס ושלום. The opposite by a businessman when it's not going well and he's dochak, he's pakwetched with money, he's lachutz, he's pressured, no money, he's pressed. Chas v'shalom, God forbid, hu benemichas ruach b'shiflus. Then he is depressed and feels lonely. I'm a lousy businessman. Again, he attributes it to himself, that he is not making money because he's a lousy businessman. Look at me. I have no talent. I'm no good. I'm a lousy person, lousy businessman. So again, even in his low time, you can see he thinks it's him. And you know what? In a subtle way, or not less subtle, more subtle, we all suffer from it. When we should check well in what areas, when we do well, it's how transparent are we? How much bitul we have in our system, in the ego, that it's really just a channel to transmit a locus and to bridge between godliness and worlds. So the person thinks, and in that case, sigh when he's proud of himself when he's successful, and sigh when he's disappointed of himself when he fails. L'shnehem einam emes. Both of them are not a truthful divine service. They are not a truthful relationship with the divine, because it's not emes based. דמאחר דברכס הבעיה היא תעשיר, הרי צריך להיות בהשוואה בהרגש נפשו. Because since it's the bracha of God that sustains and enriches a person only, then it should be בהשוואה בהרגש נפשו. That it should be exactly the same. Whether he is successful or he's not doing well in business, the way he feels about himself should be just the same. Because it's Hashem. Whether I made it and made a lot of money, it's Hashem, thank God. I mean, I lost. It's not about me, it's Hashem. The yesh bo chesaron, but he thinks, no, it's me. I am a failure. I am no good. And the same thing is in the awareness and consciousness of Yoshvei Oel, those who immerse themselves in the learning of the Torah. And it's not less challenging, believe me. דאגם שלומד תורה ויודע שהוא תורה סבייה, even though everybody knows that the Torah that we learn, whose Torah is it? Every Jew, every frum Jew that one way or another just sit down to think of learning Torah, he knows whose Torah, the Torah that Hashem gave us. Everybody knows his Torah Hashem. ובכל זאת, הרי אפשר חלילה שבכוח התורה אומר דבר הלכה שהוא הפך התורה. Nevertheless, it can happen, God forbid, page test, that in the power of Torah, which means in the power of that same Or Ein Sof, he is taking this power of Or Ein Sof, of godliness, and he says Dvar Halacha, which is the opposite of Torah. Vehu kedugmas baalei asakim, and it's similar to the mistakes that the business people do. והגם דמאמין בהוויה באמונה פשוטה, שהוא יזבח הנושן כוח לעשות חיל, וברכס הוויה תעשיר, that even though he believes in pure faith that Hashem is the one that gives the koyach to succeed in the bracha of Havaya, that makes a person successful and rich, that includes learning Torah. If Hashem yazor, I will learn well. ובכל זאת, nevertheless, when it's really going well, and כאשר ענייניו מצליחים, when he's very successful, and one is sitting to learn and his mind is open, or when he's teaching and Hannah Ginsburg is teaching and her mind that day is not like such old lady old mind, but it's bright and shining like 20 years old, and she's inspired and she feels her neshama and she's all excited and it goes well and the light of Hashem shines and it all goes well and hageshmak shiur, everybody says what a good shiur it was. And she hangs up and feels, I did well today. It went well. I did quite good. ליבו זכוכה עליו. He's in a good spirit. ויתגאה בעצמו. Feels proud of himself. וכאשר חס ושלום דחוק לו. And when, God forbid, it's not going well. It was not a good shiur. Didn't touch, lo naga, lo paga. People stay just because they are polite. They remain, and sometimes she feels the eyeballs rolling back, and she sees only white. People like the back of the eyes, and she knows she's not doing well. וכאשר דחוק לו, הרי זה מעיק לו ביותר. She becomes depressed. It bothers her very much. ושפל בעיני עצמו, I'm lousy, I'm not, who am I to teach Hasidus? Who am I to them? Who am I? Look at me. I cannot even touch one person. Even barely one person came to the shiur. Barely one person stayed awake. Again, it's about me. It's about you. This that she believes that it's all Hashem. It was a good shiur, it was not good. It's all Hashem that gives the koach לעשות חיל. But רק אצלו, באמונה פשוטה לבד. That's just in a simple אמונה. That's on the level of אמונה. However, when it comes to bottom line, says the Rebbe, אבל יסוד העסק והמשא ומתן, but the base of the business and the tradings and business, אינו כדבעי, and the same thing of the learning Torah, אינו כדבעי, it's not proper, להיות על פי התורה, that is done only according to the Torah. ולכן היוצא מזה הוא כנ"ל. And therefore what can come out is what the Rebbe said before, is above, that can be that someone who completely denies, not only doesn't realize that all his success is just a divine expression and his failure as well, but he denies it altogether that it has anything to do with him. וכן הוא ביושבי אוהל, and so too with those who learn Torah, דאגם שלומד Torah ויודע שהיא Torah סבאיה, even though he learns Torah and he knows it's the Torah of God, אבל עצם הלימוד וגוף הידיעה אינם כדבעי, but the learning itself and the knowing what he knows as a result of the learning is distorted, is not proper, because the whole base is crooked and distorted and perverted. והוא דכאשר לומד את התורה, and that is when he learns the Torah, והיינו באש לימודו, at the time that he is studying, שוכח על נויסן התורה, he forgets the giver of the Torah. He deals with it only logically, he deals with it as an intellectual thing, and that's a big separation. כי אם הוא אצלו עניין שכלי, the Torah becomes by him a mental thing, an intellectual thing. ולהיוסו אצלו שכלי בלבד, and when we disconnect, God forbid, we disconnect with נותן התורה, from the giver of the Torah, from the one that the Torah is about, and is an expression of, then it becomes, now that it becomes only an intellectual subject that is a discourse, that is discussed, הנה אחר כך שיודע מה שלמד, then what can happen to him? When he knows now what he learned, became now more knowledgeable, הגם שיודע שזהו תורה סבאיה, even though he knows, in a makif way, in a emuna way, he knows, yeah, the Torah babay, it's It's a Torah from Hashem. But the bottom line, b'chol zot, harei gam hu sichli. Yes, it's a Torah from Hashem, but Torah is also intellect, it's logic. ולכן יכול חס ושלום לומר דבר, and therefore I can have a say in it, says the Rebbe. The person can think, since we're talking about logic, we're talking about intellect, I have logic, I have intellect, I have a say in the matter. יכול חס ושלום לומר דבר, ולדייק עניין בשכלו, and to bring out a specific thing that he creates with his mind, משהו הפך התורה, which can be the opposite of what Torah indicates. V'hainu, meaning, the klalus ha'inyan. What's the general idea here? The agam shemekabel chayus me'elokus mamash. Even though he receives life from godliness mamash, mikol makom nevertheless, yachol liyos chas v'shalom hepech ha'elokus. It could be in a condition which is, God forbid, the opposite of godliness, ולפי שהאור בא בריבוי צמצומי מאלמוס והסתרים ביותר, because the light comes through myriads of constrictions and concealments and hidden processes of hiding it and concealing it tremendously so, דזהו עניין הטבע. This is how we should look at nature. Teva around us, the teva within us, the nature of any being in this world, bederach klal generally, is leshon tub'u b'yam suf, is the term drowning, like the drown in yam suf. Litboa means to drown. She'aor hu mutba b'ha'ester v'ha'elem biyoter. And that's why teva is also called the same, the Rebbe doesn't say here, but the same root. The Frierdiker Rebbe says in another Maimar, like tabas, the ring. The ring is also tes base ein. Teva is surrounding the finger, so the teva surrounds everything in such a way that it surrounds and hides over the elokus in it. Sha'or mutba, the light, the divine light, which is here, which is extended all the way lemata mata aden tachlis, is drowned in the hester vehelem biyoter, within the concealment of this world, sheba mi ribuye ishtalshelus deor, that comes in such a concealed way because of the myriads of descent of the light, shemishtalchel mi madrega le madrega ad madregos hayoter achronos. That the light descends from level to level until the lowest levels of being and consciousness that feel themselves constantly separate and even against God. So this is how far Or Ein Sof is lemata aden tachlis, and in the next ois the Rebbe will explain how it is begilui and remains in the manner of Or Ein Sof in even regarding Melech Mitzrayim, who says Li Or Bani Asisini. And next time Be'ezras Hashem we will dive into the explanation of Taf Shin Chaf Gimel that the Rebbe explained, the way the Rebbe explained the Maimar, and there are a lot of diukim and explanations that make the Maimar unfold in a wondrous way. Any questions or comments? The Rebbe says that the oysters were given to Anshe Achayil, each foot soldier on the battlefield is having this otzar. It's not, we are all partners, we are all equal partners, that each one of us cannot be missing, each and every one of us. We are crucial. So yeah, it's a team.